challenges of any co-working environment, or any, in fact, working environment, but co-working particularly, is that it's usually a large space, so you don't want big halls of hollow noise and lots of activity where everyone's sort of getting annoyed with the next person. It's loud. They want that space to be full of energy, but they also want quiet space. And when we spoke to Studio Tate, it was really important that we briefed them, and I think they did the most unbelievable job of actually filling the space with lots of separate areas that people could go to, and it's been designed around that people can be energetic, but they can also have that very quiet space. The vision that we had for OC House right from the outset was to have an absolutely accessible building. It needed to be contemporary, it needed to be full of light, and anyone that's been through it knows the light is the biggest feature in this building. It's extraordinary, and when you fill that with artwork and when you fill it with sustainable plants and the energy of the people, it blossoms. When we started with this project, there was 3 people, Kathy Richardson, Eden and myself. Some people go out far and wide and get massive committees, and we said we weren't going to do that. We involved everyone in a survey, and then we had lots of pictures of buildings that we'd seen. We'd had clippings for about a year and a half, and we arrived on the first day at Studio Tate, and I don't know whether we shocked them or not. And then we briefed them about what staff had wanted, and then we sanitised that with what we felt some of the things weren't important. It has to stack up commercially, and Studio Tate filled that brief very well, I think.
We actually went into a WeWorks in Tel Aviv, in Israel. We were on a trade mission, Dennis and myself, together. We came out of the WeWorks and the presentation, and we looked at each other and we said, we need to have one of these communal workspaces in Melbourne. We just imagined what it could possibly look like and what it could possibly be. And for the next couple of years we were talking about it, we were looking for a space, and luckily Eden, who's been working with us for a number of years, came up with this most perfect site in North Melbourne. So we decided, yep, let's go ahead, we'll buy it. Our vision for OC House was that it be a place where social enterprises, community organisations and entrepreneurs wanted to get together, work in an environment that was really conducive to creativity and the sort of benefits and advantages one gets from working in a really creative environment. You know, when we first imagined what OC House would look like, design was absolutely fundamental to the way we envisaged this space could work. I think that Eden finding the architects that he did find was absolutely inspired, and he and Dennis led the process together with the architects, and we as the client were very involved in the process, which I think is absolutely crucial to ensure that we got the best possible outcome. And you know, look around, I don't think we could have got a better outcome.
At the moment we have over 50 member organisations and over 320 people using the space. We only accept not-for-profit organisations or social businesses, that being businesses that work specifically with not-for-profit organisations or for a social or environmental cause. So our community is a social enterprise that was set up 21 years ago now, and it's a organisation that works with not-for-profits. So we support the 600,000 community groups around Australia. We provide them with various resources and support them with technology and training. Members are given access to our community staff, so we have specialists in many different areas, and we are happy to connect our community staff members with our members. And then also we provide them with access to a lot of our technology as well. We have 4 data scientists who work in our team to help us develop better tools for the not-for-profit sector. And we wanted to offer the services of our data scientists to members here. And so we created the Data Lab, and basically what the Data Lab do is they consult with members here, but also not-for-profit organisations who aren't resided in our community house.
The organisation I work for sits in a really interesting space between mental health and art. And when we walked into our community house, it was almost like a sort of metaphor for me. There was this office space, which obviously sort of supports the functional running of organisations, and then there was this creative energy to it. It's really important to have connections with other organisations with similar values. So our community house being so supportive of community sector, there's other orgs that are in the health and wellbeing sector in the space, meant that we were working as a team, but also bumping into people at the coffee machine who we are now collaborating with. We work with a cohort of young people, including young adults, and for a long time now we've been saying that we need a space that feels safe and inviting to meet our sort of the young people we work with for coffee, for chats, to plan things, run workshops. And we feel really sort of positive about what this space offers them.
Some of the key considerations as we were working through the design were really born from our creative narrative, which was the concept around transformation. So as part of developing the workplace, we looked to really maximise opportunity for display of art. We looked to maximise access to natural light. And as we developed up the space planning, one of the key elements was to think about how we could create neighbourhoods. It's a really large footprint, this work floor. It's a big square environment. And so ultimately we have 4 sections that are big workspaces where collaboration and energetic work can happen, but equally quiet and focused work can happen too. It was about making sure that both of those elements were supported and encouraged. The building was originally 2 separate buildings, and they've been combined at some time. So what we have, instead of a long skinny space, we have a very large square format. The way that we addressed that from a floor planning point of view was to create 4 individual neighbourhoods. And this has been very successful from a leasing perspective, but also from the point of view that tenants come into the workspace and they know, okay, well I could go to the bay window neighbourhood, or I could go to this particular coloured neighbourhood. Each space has its own identity, and that's been curated with the colour and the texture of the artwork. This project wasn't about splashing lavish finishes around on the floor and on the joinery. It was about using colour really intelligently. It was about using texture really intelligently, selecting where to use the materiality and the colour and the detail in the right way. And then, of course, we've had the opportunity to work with Dennis, and he's laid even more artwork into the space ongoing, and it's been really wonderful to come back 12 months, 18 months down the track to see how the space has evolved. To be able to design an environment for a sector and an organisation that are doing such great work in our community is a real honour. At Studio Tate, many of our workplace projects are focused around social enterprise businesses or the not-for-profit sector. We've been really fortunate to be invited to do the design and the fit-out for these like-minded organisations. So from our perspective, one of our favourite parts of this project was simply to be able to connect with the client, to be able to connect with Dennis, Eden and Kathy, and to take them on our journey of the design process, but for them to take us on their journey of what OC House is about, to learn about their organisation and to design an environment that fosters energetic work, inspired work, to be able to have the opportunity to deliver a space to do all of that is a real honour, and we feel very proud of the space that we've been able to create.